Welcome everyone to a casted game of Age of Empires 4, and today spawning on the west side of the map playing in teal, we got Give You Anxiety playing as the Abbasid dynasty. And his opponent in the southeast playing in pink, we've got Corvinus 1 playing as the Order of the Dragon. Welcome everyone to Himeyama, that is the map for today, and featuring, well, only one of the new civilizations of the Sultans Ascend DLC, the Order of the Dragon, going up against the Abbasid dynasty, two very strong players of course. Right at the top echelons of Age of Empires 4 on the ladder. And on the map Himeyama. Certainly going to be an interesting dynamic between these two civilizations. I don't think I've actually seen this matchup before, but if we ever think about it, the Order of the Dragon can take their time to get going. You know, might need to get... Sometimes they go for a second town center. I think it's obviously still very raw in terms of the way they play. Now, Corvinus does play a lot of this civilization, this faction. And so I'll be expecting that he'll probably be kind of coming up with some good strategies. I mean, maybe fast castles a thing. I do wonder how close they do play to the, I guess the mother civilization, the Holy Roman Empire. Of course, there are lots of things that are different. And I do feel like the differences between the Holy Roman Empire and the Order of the Dragon are relatively subtle, but they're significant. They seem subtle. Now, of course, the Order of the Dragon, their villages are built different. They take 60 food to make and 24 seconds to train, rather than your usual 50 food and 20 seconds. But they do gather resources 25% faster, and they build, I believe, 20% faster as well, which is quite a significant change in terms of the macro dynamics of the civilization. Now, granted, there aren't any sort of super nuanced mechanics. It's still very relatively an easy civilization to play. But what I would say is the fact that the units are supercharged as well, both in terms of cost and HP and damage and stats, it really does change the way that civilization is played. And the reason why that is the case, because there's lots of new game mechanics to think about. When you think about battling and sort of, you know, the interaction of enemy and, you know, ally units, often overkill is an issue, especially with ranged units. And the fact that the Order of the Dragon have such high HP, it changes that dynamic a lot. It makes it a lot more difficult to read the fights and to really understand whether a fight is favorable or not. And so it will take some time getting used to. It's quite jarring as well because the units are obviously named very similarly. They have the same counter system. But the fact that each unit itself is so beefy, it changes that dynamic and the ability to tell whether a fight is a good one or not. Could be something that the players take some time to get used to. Now, speaking about the units, if you do lose a unit for the Order of the Dragon, it's a bit of a travesty because they're so expensive. And so you do have to be careful. I do wonder whether we'll see a bit of a play like we do see with the Delhi Sultanate, a mass scholar kind of sort of thing, healing up units. Because, of course, you really want to make sure every unit for the Order of the Dragon counts. Now, we're going to be moving over to familiar territory with the Abbasid dynasty today, going up, obviously, with the House of Wisdom. That's their landmark that they use. Going up with the military wing, a very commonly chosen military wing opener for the Abbasid dynasty today, and looking to pile on some pressure. I feel like that's often what you tend to want to do against the HRE, or in this case, the Order of the Dragon. Now, considering he's getting an outpost, it does maybe telegraph that he's going to go for possibly a semi-fast castle. I wonder if he... Okay, I was definitely going to go for a straight fast castle, it seems. May not even make any units. The reason why I say that is because he's going to get an outpost on the berries too. Now, we do often see an outpost on gold, but seeing an outpost on berries as well makes it very interesting. Going for 3 villages on stone, no doubt probably for arrow slits, just to help him on his way. Now, the House of Wisdom for the Abbasid dynasty, a little bit different from the Ayyubids, of course. The Ayyubids get 5 tiers to their golden age, and the Abbasid getting 3. It does mean that, though, each tier that they get is a little bit more significant in terms of boosting, right? Village gather rate's 15% here for the Abbasids, only 10% for the Ayyubids. I do wonder whether we'll see a fast castle from the Abbasid dynasty to match the fast castle of the Order of the Dragon. Whether we'll go for a second town center. It doesn't really seem like a second town center play here. It does definitely look like a fast castle. And there is that Golden Age tier 1, so we'll be seeing the villagers being buffed up in terms of gather rate. Villagers coming out to berries now. Looking to take that food off the map, and we'll be well protected with that outpost. Gee Wei, sending his army here down the south. He's going to be finding it difficult to find damage, you feel. Looks like Corvinus has a scout nearby, so he should see this coming. There's GUA Scout, getting crossing paths together. I do wonder where he can hit here. I think Ji-wei, unfortunately, with this army, is unlikely to do too much damage, other than causing a bit of idle time, pushing the villagers away from stone. But it looks like he got the stone he wanted anyway. Might look to just torch this down with the spearmen. Maybe, I mean, these archers might get some damage, but yeah, he's going to be reacting to that, right? Does delete the house in the end. Right, now the landmark of choice, by the way, for the Order of the Dragon has been the Minework Palace, and kind of is a very popular choice because the Archon Chapel, it just doesn't feel as strong as perhaps it should be. With only 10% boosting of gather speed for the villagers. Having said that, I mean, the villagers as a standard do gather 25% faster anyway, so it's not a bad bonus to add in, but it feels like a lot of players really opting for the Minework Palace. It does offer some unique abilities, or unique upgrades, I should say. The Golden Cuirass, giving the Gilded Man-at-Arms who fall below 20% health to take reduced damage by 20%. And then we've got the Zornhau, which I really enjoy seeing this, by the way. Because the Lance Connector, they are crazy. They get the area effect damage. They can, like, if you get a couple of those on a wood line, it's usually a destruction. But if you add this in as well, it gets a bit of bleeding damage into the mix. Then Bodkin Bolts in the Imperial Age will give them access to an extra 10 damage. For crossbows against siege units, I don't necessarily see that coming into play all that often, but let's just say, if you're playing up against the Order of the Dragon, you're probably not going to want to build any Rebaldaquins. And as I say that, maybe we'll see one. Culture Wing is the option for Ji-wei. Get into that Council Age relatively soon, and interesting enough, has actually clicked up quicker than the Order of the Dragon. So Corvinus is going to be... although having said that, Corvinus probably will rush it up with multiple villagers, right? And that's just something that the Abbasid dynasty can't do. It will take 1 minute, 20 seconds from now, and there's no way to speed that up. Starting to transition over to wood. Going to be looking to get some production buildings, no doubt about that, for the Abbasid dynasty. Now, what does he go for? Does he go for stables? Does he go for gulams in terms of the barracks? We'll have to see. I think stables might be a better option. Like the Order of the Dragon, one thing to consider, by the way, I'd argue one of the best units is the archers, the Gilded Archers. The reason why I say that is because the damage output from those things is incredible. It even does a lot of damage against highly armored units just because of the base damage it puts out. And so whilst archers generally don't really do very well against armored units, they shouldn't do anyway. The Order of the Dragon archers, the Gilded Archers, they are made different. Trying to get an outpost on that wood line does lose a villager, which is obviously quite significant. Don't forget, each villager lost for the Dragon Order of the Dragon is very significant. It's a big chunk of their economy. Manages to get the outpost in the end and pushes away a villager. I mean, I would say the Ministry School openings probably pay for itself already. Just with that one villager. I could be getting the Burggraf Palace. I actually really love this landmark for the Order of the Dragon. I think it's very strong. Now, if you compare it like for like for the HRE version, I think it's 400% speed of production for the HRE. But, you know, ultimately, you might think, well, this has only got a 30% production speed bonus. But the fact is the Order of Dragon is very difficult to afford units. So that 30% discount they also get with this Burggraf Palace is very, very significant. It really helps them pump out units quickly. It's going to get some Gilded Lance Connector. We talked about it earlier in the cast and how that could be dangerous. We shall see exactly how dangerous that will be. And he is also going for the Zornhau technology. So, well, Corvinus may be looking to get some villager kills, maybe on this wood line. It's got to be careful here, Ji-wei, of that. It's always a big threat. And it is going to be a stable opening for him. And I like that play because you want that mobility, especially when you're going to be contesting some of the relics, no doubt. Does he have a mosque just yet? No. 2 stables opening. Double archery range as well. A message in the chat. Thank you. I really appreciate your support on YouTube as well. But yeah, I'm going to be casting hopefully a lot more on Twitch. So just a friendly reminder, guys, if you're watching on YouTube and you think, maybe I want to join in a live stream or two, maybe join in and hop on and see if you can find me on Twitch. I'll leave a link to that in the description, actually, to my Twitch channel if you guys are interested. And yeah, I'm really enjoying casting Age of Empires 4 at the moment. A couple of crossbows on the field, which is going to be helping against the early Gilded Man-at-Arms. Now, these guys, early Gilded Man-at-Arms, it's a tricky sort of situation with this unit because whilst they're very strong, it's very difficult to get close to your opponent, especially with the amount of aggression that's coming out for Ji-wei. If Corvinus wants to get value out of this unit, he's going to have to try and get a mass of them and push out in one sustained force. Couple more crossbows heading forward. Now, I do wonder whether we will see a transition into archers, because that was commonly done by the Abbasid dynasty. Especially when you factor in the Kangik boot camp and composite bows. I would love to see boot camp come in, because he does still have a lot of crossbows, and of course boot camp would affect them as well. But at the moment, just focusing on lancers. Managing to get food off the berries. Primarily because of the fact that obviously the Order of the Dragon, with how slow they are to get going, hasn't been able to establish much map control. I feel like GUA might be best placed to try and get some of those relics, because they've both been in the castle age for quite some time, and sure, the Order of the Dragon can't afford a monastery, and so there is a bit of more of a time window for him to get those relics, but you won't want to leave it for too long. The Lance are going to dive in, trying to deny the gold income a little bit, losing a bit of health though. But they're just coming down the south for Corvinus. Where are they off to? To the gold in the south. Unfortunately, GUA doesn't see that. Oh, in the north. Going out to berries once again, looking to keep that protected though, which is definitely a smart move. Gilded Lance Connector there for Corvinus. Could be dangerous if he decides to move out with that, just biding his time, waiting for his opportune moment to attack. It's certainly a different style of play, by the way, with the Abbasid dynasty not opting for a second town center, but it's very understandable, right? Because you do feel like you're going up against the Order of the Dragon. You want to put pressure. Can't let them boom away for free. And GUA's done a pretty decent job of doing that. Is building that mosque with quite a few villagers there, 10 of them. Looks like GUA maybe just realised, oh, hang on a minute. Might need to get a couple of those relics. Oh, but the Lance Connector on the berries. We talked about the threat of this unit. Holy moly. I mean, he got that last villager, by the way, without actually getting a swipe in. It's because of the Zornhau effect. And he's killed 3 villagers so far. Oh, that Lance Connector might be sniped, though. Corvinus has been found out there in the north. But look at this, keeping up that Lance Connector alive, and it's very difficult for GUA because he doesn't have arrow slits, right? So he's going to have to always keep an eye on this. Because the thing is that once you got the attack notification, it's pretty much damage done already. Like, you have to have super fast reactions to the minimap, I think, just to avoid getting villager losses there. The concern for GUA is that the military numbers are starting to build up a little bit for the Order of the Dragon, and that's always a scary thought and scary sight. Quite heavy on stone here. Possibly thinking about a keep in the middle. I mean, I don't hate that because it kind of makes sense. You kind of want to put some more pressure. He does have a lot of map control in many ways. Did he find that Lance Connector in the end? No, I'm not sure because there's a couple here. No, they didn't. They went round and to maybe attack that gold vein. Could possibly attack it soon. A couple of crossbows picking off a unit there for the Order of the Dragon. Pushes those 2 villagers away. Lance Connector getting close to its target and its prey. On the front there, a couple of horsemen, gilded horsemen, will be taking out that lancer. Crossbows have to back away, but on the gold vein, this is where we thought might happen. Lance Connector getting a swing. Oh my god, that's devastation. He's going to get 2 villagers, at least. Wait, maybe not. I cursed it. Very low on HP, only 1 HP. But the Zornhau ability on those 2 villagers, you can see that technology really coming into play here today. Those 2 villagers would ordinarily have survived. It gets even more. Killed 8 so far. That this Lance Connector has had so much damage output so far. I think he might lose a couple more villagers. Very 15 garrison inside. Only 13 come out. Take a look at that. Holy moly. 15 went in. Only 13 came out. This is looking tricky. Like, I think GUA's window to get a keep forward is kind of limited. So maybe that stone is going for a second town center instead. I think the Abbasid dynasty probably have one of the stronger late games, but, you know, Corvinus, the thing I'm really worried about for GUA, by the way, is the fact that the Order of the Dragon can get the Panis of Swabia, right? And he's already ahead in villages, which is not a good sight if you're the Abbasid dynasty, by the way. You should never really be behind on villager counts. Especially when you factor in that the villager counts will be limited by the training time. Training time is 4 seconds more per villager for the Order of the Dragon. And this army's been swept up, and these horsemen should dive on those crossbows and might be able to take them all out. A couple of gilded spearmen too. Horsemen looking to harass the food income there on the east side, but won't be able to achieve all that much. Oh, the Lance are going to be snared by the Gilded Spearmen. The Spearmen get huge value, and this is what I talked about earlier in the cast, right? It's very like if you look at the numbers, you'd think that GOA would have won that fight a lot earlier. But it's just not the case. But this is a situation where Corvinus definitely has the upper hand now. Having killed 10 villagers, he's neck and neck in villager count, but the villagers aren't built the same. Although having said that, the House of Wisdom Golden Age Tier 1 does go some way to negate that. Obviously 15% for gathering resources, but the 25 that the base is for the dragon villagers does mean that it's got a 10% efficiency extra of gathering. Going for the sacred site in the north. I feel like the concern for the Abbasid dynasty, because they didn't expand to a second town center earlier, it did give them a better chance to contest the relics, but it didn't really go for them early enough, it felt. It does garrison the villages inside. It does have one relic already in the bank and one more coming, but Order of the Dragon are going to get 2, and I think all things considered, that's not a bad play. That's not a bad number there for Corvinus to get 2 of the relics. And take a look at this. He's going to go with the Palace of Swabia, which is very significant, guys, because like if you thought that the Palace of Swabia for the HRE was dangerous, this Palace of Swabia is exactly the same in terms of the percentage boosting you get. But it's not the same in total output in terms of benefit you get. The reason why I say this is because each villager is more expensive. Each villager takes longer time to train. So whilst the extra benefit is actually relatively minimal, 200%, is it 200%? Yeah, 200% faster on 24 seconds rather than 20 seconds. Obviously, there's a little bit extra bonus you're getting for the villagers that take 24 seconds to train. Speaking of which, the villagers are trying to push that Lancer away. I mean, not going to be able to do it on their own, and the 2 veteran gilded spearmen will make sure the Lancers try to find somewhere else to fight. The villagers here for Corvinus are a little bit exposed. No outpost. A couple might go down. This is a good pick off here by GUA, but don't forget, like these dragon villagers do have 65 HP. Incidentally, Corvinus doesn't actually does he have textiles? Oh, he does actually, yeah. Fair enough. But 18 minutes into the game, it doesn't necessarily feel like a lot has happened, but there's been a couple of odd skirmishes here and there. And that Palace of Swabia is really going to put Corvinus in a really strong position. Not only just in terms of tech up, in terms of army quality, but also the population of villagers. Does have 3 relics in the bag here. The Abbasid dynasty down to 2 for Corvinus. Couple of lancers cycling around the east side. Maybe looking to just harass this gold. But I really love the placement for the Palace of Swabia. It's on that wood line and that actively taken gold. Going to be getting a university as well. That's going to be difficult to match in terms of quality of units for the Abbasid dynasty. The question is, what does he go up to the Imperial Age with eventually? He's struggling on the food count to get there, but it's quite possibly he goes up with the Eco Wing. It would give him a better farming economy. Lancers being pushed back once again. Now, interestingly enough, by the way, one thing to talk about on this map, Himeyama, neither player actually went for the fish. And the Abbasid dynasty can make good work of the fish. They do get cheaper docks, but it's certainly something that obviously is probably not really worth it at this point. A couple of gilded spearmen pushing forward a little bit, looking to see what value they can get. But you can just see how much they're tanking against the arrow fire from the outposts. It's kind of scary to see. Looking to get the sacred site on the south, but the Abbasid dynasty might have something to say about that. A couple of lancers are going to be sniping away that prelate. Villages are being pushed back. I think this is very good aggression here, by the way, for GUA. He's forcing a lot of idle time for villagers walking for the dragon villagers. Killed a spearman, still poking and prodding. Will go down eventually. Now this is actually looking a bit dangerous for Corvinus, because he's got the Palace of Swabia, right? So he's pumping out. Now you do get a reduction in cost, but it's still very expensive to keep running, and farming transition coming out. Lancers might just dive in this, but if he gets cannon in placement inside the outpost, they won't be able to dive for too long, but he might just be in with the time he needs. He'll be sniping a lot of those villagers, but they're going to be sniped by the gilded spearmen. Doesn't take all that many hits for them to take down the lancers. Or at least push them away. And the cannon emplacement does come out in the outpost as well. But healthy numbers of military for GUA, and the real concern for him is that if he doesn't really push in the next 15-20 minutes, the economy for the Order of the Dragon might just overtake this game. Those Lancers did die in the end. You look away for a second and poof, they're gone. Double Sacred Site has been capped by GUA, so it does activate that Sacred Site timer. It is a actually solid potential win condition for him if he does look to protect those areas. They're very key. Speaking of key though, I feel like the Burgh Palace does have the potential to have the key for this game for the Order of the Dragon, because if he needs to produce fast, he will be able to. Does have another barracks for good measure as well. Also getting Military Academy. We can feel like Corvinus is raring to go soon. The Order of the Dragon, their war machine, about to mobilize. It's going to be the trade wing, in fact, for GUA, which kind of makes sense. Like, it probably feels like this game is going late, and transitioning to trade could be a nice option if it needs it. Now, the benefits of the trade for the Abbasid dynasty will be having access to Grand Bazaar, returning a secondary resource, which is certainly helpful for that economy. We'll also get a bit of extra armor on them if he decides to get armored caravans. And, of course, spice roads would be increasing that gold income. I think the Abbasid dynasty is certainly one of the stronger trading civilizations. Mangonel. Just deploying for Order of the Dragon and just making sure he's safe. He's raring to go, ready to go. Couple of lancers there for the Abbasids. Might pick off a villager to try to build up the stone wall. Will he get it in time? Oh, he doesn't. He does snipe out the villager. Corvinus didn't get the foundations. Oh, and he's walled himself out. Oh no, disaster. He walled himself out. Deletes it in the end, but the spearmen are going to be a bit delayed to that. The villagers do survive that remain. Did get a few though. Cannon replacement going to be working on those. Oh, will he snipe the Mangonel? That could be a big pick-off if he decides to go for it, but there is a gilded spearman. You know, I don't think those 3 lancers can even take that 1 gilded spearman. Yeah, he's going to go for the Mangonel. It's unfortunate for Corvinus. Kind of cheaply lost there, and he's looking to get stone walls. Curious that he didn't go for the stone walls in front of the sacred site. Maybe felt it was just a bit too greedy. Looks like he's actually going to be walling up to protect the trade, which he might be establishing. We'll have to see. Yeah, there it is. Look, he's got traders coming out. I like this play, actually. This kind of pivot to a late game approach for the Abbasid dynasty had a bit of an aggression in feudal age. And a bit in castle age, to be fair. And deciding, well, now's my time to turtle up with the trade. It's probably something that could potentially rival the boom that Corvinus is getting from the Palace of Swabia. Going to be getting tithe barns as well, adding into the bonuses from the relics being brought in. Now we should get those walls up in time. The army is... Well, villagers are heading in that position. What are they doing? Trying to get a keep on that sacred site, which probably will work. It probably will get there. There's no army here, though, for Corvinus. Oh, I take that back. There are a couple of spearmen. I wonder whether archers, elite archers with composite bows could be a thing for GUA, because there's a lot of spearmen on hand. Certainly cavalry is probably out of the question. Camel archers, maybe? The good thing about camel archers is they do only cost food and wood. Going to be getting hand cannoneers for now. The premium unit in the Imperial Age won't be able to afford all that many just yet, but certainly that will build up over time. And Corvinus, looking to snack on this gold vein. 4,000 gold to be had. The stone walls are up in the north, but not fully. Sending more villagers to get that done. Hopefully for GUA's sake it goes up in time. Corvinus walling up himself as well. A little bit more conservative in his walling. Getting some siege workshops. That's certainly going to be helpful to make his way through. He's got plenty of wood, by the way, so rams could be on order. Certainly the unit that I'd probably choose with that wood amount that he's got in the bank. Oh, the spearman might pick off those villagers. GUA needs to be careful to get those palisades, the walls down. He does look to get the foundations out. I don't think he manages it in the end, and unfortunately those spearmen are going to pick off those villagers very quickly. Oh, are they going off? Probably more of a... Yeah, he's trying to push away those lancers. The lancers do break through, though. They're going to go on that wood line. That could be devastating. The only concern is it's kind of playing the same way as the HRE, right? You can never really raid them to death. Unless it's an overwhelming raid. Because of the fact that Palace Swabi, right, just rebuilds those villages very quickly. He's going to try and get as much value as he can. And then maybe raid out if he can. But we'll see if he manages to do that. Hand cannoneers are on the field with the crossbows. With a mangonel too. Now the spearmen will probably see the trade, so Corvinus should be aware of that. Lancers do push those villages away. Mass migration. They go back out again. That's kind of weird though, because he hasn't actually dealt with the lancers. Okay, Corvinus, these villagers are brave. This could be a slaughter. Corvinus. Okay, I mean, I know I said that you can't really raid them to death, but I mean, this is the dragon, Order of the Dragon, sending these villagers to be culled. Well, speaking of culling, these spearmen are definitely going to cull these lancers. So he did react in the end, but a fair few villagers have been killed. Getting the keep in the north, though, is a really nice touch for Corvinus just to protect that stone and the gold. And as we do see rams coming out as well. Also having a culverin, which will snipe out any anti-siege. But take a look at this. 42 gold and 10 food. That'll certainly be strong for the Abbasid dynasty economy. Getting biology as well, and also looking to get spice roads. We're increasing that gold income by 30%. Add on top of the fact that he's got 3 relics with tithe barns. The Abbasid dynasty economy is not looking too shabby. Same could be said about the Order of the Dragon, though. Going to be getting lightweight beams, the all-important upgrade for the rams, increasing the attack speed by 20%, reducing the construction time by 50%. It breaks through the walls, and just note as well that once you do break through the walls, it also takes a tile segment on either side. It's a really new additional patch, an additional mechanic for the Abbasid dynasty. The kind of concern for Corvinus is kind of got sidetracked to this wall in the north. There isn't actually a very nice particular entrance to that trade route, right? Because the neutral trade post is, I mean, is that even a way in? I don't think there's even a way in. Now, that's blocked, by the way. You'd have to send a villager to chop through that. There is a... Wait, is that blocked as well? Oh, that's so lucky for GUA. That's actually blocked. There's no way in. And so Corvinus just wasted a lot of time breaking through that wall. And to be fair, just as well for GUA, because it kind of needed that time. Really all important upgrades coming in now. Boot camp and chemistry for the gunpowder units. Definitely good for GUA. Speaking of GUA, looking to push forward in the middle a little bit, just to raid once again. Has done a good job of raiding. Oh, is he going in the north? Oh, wait, can he? Oh, he can. Okay, that wasn't closed. He can squeeze through. But the rams can't. The siege won't be able to. Only the spearmen. Oh, come on. Really? I think it's between these ones. Yeah, these two maybe. I don't know. But he can squeeze through in the end. He turns back anyway. Oh, quite a few villages going to go down on that farming transition. Does have the cannon emplacement in the outpost, though, with the relic inside. But a fair few villages will go down. Unfortunately, Corvinus being raided quite heavily, I've got to say. He hasn't really ever filled the gaps between the walls. Never really got these walls up fully. Oh, Mangonel. Oh, could be a big shot on the hand cannons. They did get out in the way in time. But that looks like a very dangerous army for Corvinus. I've got to say, 65 military population. Just to 40. Now do bear in mind a lot of this military does take double the population capacity because they're so beefy. But GUA's got to be careful. He's now getting all important siege engine upgrades, getting get adjustable crossbars, increasing the attack speed. We're fighting across the walls. Well, does back away now for Corvinus, and he's going to be breaking through that stone wall pretty quickly with these rams. Going to be walling up as well. Maybe looking to secure trade for himself too. Let's take a look at how many traders he's got now, GUA. 10 so far. Loses the Lancer in the right corner. Corvinus is gearing up to go. We're heading into the 30th minute mark. I've got to say, the game is pretty slow at this point. But rest assured, it's going to heat up very quickly. Now, the 3 culverins should snipe out a lot of the siege. If you can take out the mangonel, it'll certainly be helpful. I mean, it's good in the end that GUA loses the culverin in the north and not these 2 in the south, although he does lose another, unfortunately for him. Because there are 2 culverins for the Order of the Dragon as well, 2 to 1, and in fact the The Lancers are going to ride in with a lot of spearmen. Hand cannoneers and crossbows on the backline for GUA. Mangonel deploys, but there are 3 Mangonels for Corvinus. This could be a massacre for the infantry for GUA. He's got to be careful. Because those 3 Mangonels, they're going to be deploying and they get a huge hit on those crossbows on the back line. He's got to be careful here. GUA does retreat for now. He needs to find a response to the siege, the mass siege that's on offer for the Order of the Dragon. Does have one covering. Works off on one of the Mangonels. Oh, Corvinus not paying attention. Needs to get those 2 coverings in the fight. Oh, loses another Mangonel. Corvinus is not looking there. Must be looking elsewhere. Oh, he's lost all 3. Oh, it's too late for the reaction. He lost all 3 Mangonels, and GOA should be able to push his back now. As long as he stays away of those gilded spearmen with his cavalry. He charges right in. Does have a couple of hand cannons behind and the archers. He will clear that up. Overall, GUA will be happy with that fight. Could have gone a lot worse. I'll tell you what's happening. In the north, he's losing a lot of traders. I mean, ultimately, losing traders is not necessarily a terrible thing as long as you can stem the flow eventually. The reason why I say that is because as long as he's got a bank of resources, he can plonk down a couple more markets and reboom that very quickly. The trouble is he can't just continue to lose that. He does need to deal with it quickly. Oh, here come the elite lancers. Going to go right on top of those spearmen. I mean, he's going to lose a lot of those lancers. Does have a couple of hand cannoneers. And the rams there, I think they're just going to be given up by Corvinus. Going to get another town centre. I think it's mostly for emergency repairs, to be fair. On the outpost and keep, does have to back away for now. And well, a lot of infantry going to push this back for GUA. He's holding for now. I feel like the real concern for Corvinus is that he doesn't have the trade set up, right? So the gold income is not all that good for him. Only 2 relics. As I say that, it would be... Let's just see if he manages to get it. Oh, keep trying to be built up by Corvinus, but will it... Wait, what's there? Villagers, they're getting the ships out, so it will go up in the end. GUA has to back away from that. The gold has gone in any case, so... It's trying to be getting a bit of map control here, GUA. Village coming out to the south. There is a gold vein there that he's kind of reliant on at this point. Does have that trade, but he lost a lot of those traders earlier on, of course. Trying to break through... Wait, did he just lose a mass of villagers? Holy smokes. Been sent to their death. Maybe overboomed a little bit, want a bit of population space, but take a look at the bank of resources. For both players, it's looking good, but there's one key difference. And it is the gold. Corvinus really struggling on that gold. That trade coming in clutch for GUA. And he's going to get the gold in the south as well. This is great play. Does have an outpost there with cannon and placement, so this village's got to be careful. GUA, have you not spotted it? Oh god. Okay, just 2 so far. Actually, the splash damage is not all that amazing. Although, now they do back off. Rightly so. Good thing he spotted that, I gotta say. Gonna get some siege workshops and get a trebuchet to take that out. Gonna get a counter siege workshop. Corvinus gonna try and push that away. Lancers diving in. But certainly worth the wait. We did have a bit of a... I guess it was a bit slow to get going this game, but holy moly has it got going. Farming transition coming the right. You have to wonder the wood situation as well. When you kind of get into the situation... Oh, there's plenty of wood on the right side, to be fair. So way off wood becoming an issue. But I do love the fact that GUA is getting this golden stone. It's not to be underestimated. Especially considering the struggle that Corvinus is getting. He's going to get that market now because he needs trade big time. And I think certainly the longer this game goes, I feel like the power spike for OOTD, Order of the Dragon, really was with the Palace of Swampy, but it never really managed to make it count. And GUA did a great job of walling up. I feel like Corvinus did waste obviously a lot of time going up in the north, and I suspect it's probably because he didn't have it fully scouted at the time, right? He probably didn't see that it was very difficult to break through. We're entering this phase of the game where the Abbasid dynasty get really strong in the late Imperial Age game, especially with the trade, the spice roads coming in, the extra resources that he gets in with the traders. Corvinus is going to have to do something about that. Arch farming transition as well, as you'd expect for the Abbasids. Is that the 3rd town centre? He did actually transition to a 3rd town centre eventually. So definitely going to be able to keep up with the villagers. But I love the army composition for GUA. Hand cannoneers. Don't forget they've got boot camp as well. Adding extra 15% HP. Villagers coming out to torch as well. Those rounds won't make it too far forward before being sniped. Down in the south, cannon placement outpost is still being repaired. 2 trebuchets, 3 trebuchets. He's really committing to that. Now the concern for Corvinus is that if GOA spots the trade, and if he denies the trade, he could be in a bad spot. Uh-oh. Speaking of trade, in the north, absolute destruction. Dragon hand cannoneers. 250 HP, 46 cannon rage. Oh god, that's a lot of damage, guys. 46 damage. When you factor in, it's 42 for a regular one, but look at the health, 150 versus the 250. But you do pay premium, and of course it's double the population capacity it takes. A couple of horsemen going to be riding in. They will be sniped by a lot of the military here for the Abbasid dynasty. The archers, gilded archers, well, regular archers rather, for the Abbasids. They do have the composite bow, so they will be firing significantly faster, 33% I believe. Down in the south, has been cleared, and he wants access to gold once again here, GUA. The trouble for Corvinus is that he has to buy time, right? To be fair, it does have a lot of map control in the north, and he should have that time to boom up that trading economy. Elite Lance is going to try and torch that down. I don't know how I feel about that. I mean, GUA is at population capacity, right? So he does have resources to spend and to burn and to waste, if you will. It's going to protect that trade with the stone walls. I like that. I really do, because he needs to keep the trade alive for as long as possible. Villages do go down, though. Needs to send some more. Cavalry do ride away, because Corvinus does head in with a mass of horsemen in the north. Oh, those archers going to be picked apart. That's unfortunate for GUA. Corvinus reacting correctly. And really well to that. A couple of gilded archers going to be pounced upon in the south now for GUA of that initial fight. And the hand cannoneers, they need to back off for Corvinus. It's kind of precarious. But take a look at this. He's putting outposts on the trade. I love this play by GUA. And this is really going to starve Corvinus out of gold. I think this could be the game-winning move. Like, if he denies this trade, Corvinus will lack the gold to make any particularly strong units. And that will allow the Abbasid dynasty to really work their way to a potential victory. Villages on the woodline do have to back off. Traders are still going down. This could be a big push for GUA. Sure, he's denied the trade, at least on the other side of the map, but he's got to hold this push. Coming in by Corvinus and the Order of the Dragon. This is looking rough, I gotta say. Rams going to take out a lot of production buildings as they work their way through. I love the addition of the Rams, I gotta say, because Corvinus, if he takes out production and he takes out GOA's army, he won't be able to replace it. Doesn't matter how many resources he's got. Speaking of which, he doesn't have that much gold coming in. Now, sure, Corvinus isn't trading effectively in the south, but GOA is not trading effectively in the north. And he is running out of gold. That bank of gold is not all that amazing. He's getting a bit of gold from the south, of course, but that has just expired, as we thought it might. The Rams pushing forward, and GOA going to be holding for now. The question is, how long can he hold on for? Wait a minute. Corvinus, he's trading with the northern trade post. That was unexpected. 62 gold though. That's pretty nifty. I mean, if you can wall that up, that would be pretty epic. It's trying to get as much trade as it possibly can. GOA going to clear up the Rams, going to replace those production buildings, but it gives Corvinus a bit of space and breathing time to rebuild again. And Corvinus is starting to reach that population capacity that he needs. GOA, his defense is starting to dwindle, right? He didn't really protect the trade as much as he perhaps needed to, and he perhaps wanted to. Never managed to rebuild those stone walls again. I mean, this is actually really much needed gold for Corvinus, I gotta say. It's super important that these guys make it back home, and they probably will. A couple of Lancers going to chase down the Gilded Horsemen, and the south, we tried to get an outpost there in the end, Corvinus, but got spotted. I mean, this is still not a hugely significant defense of this area, so Corvinus might just send some units here to defend that trade post and establish trade. Alternatively, he could just keep trying to pressurize and steamroll on the front lines. The gilded archers and hand cannoneers, they're doing great work. It's very difficult for the Abbasid dynasty to deal with this. Oh, cavalry riding in from the north. Might try and get a wraparound on the culverin. I think he needs to peel away a couple on the culverin. He's going to go and get blocked off by the horseman, though. Does delete that barracks, or probably destroyed by the culverin. Cavalry do charge in. They're going to get on top of the hand cannoneers, and that is absolutely huge. This is a big push here by GUA. He does have the veteran camel archers, not yet elite, doesn't have the gold necessary for that. They never really managed to get rid of that culverin. Does dive in the army, and the Order of the Dragon, they're getting pushed back once again. In the south, the cannon emplacement should take care of those lancers. Wait, does he have an emplacement in this? He doesn't actually have an emplacement in this, so trading will still be on the cards for Corvinus, at least for now if he wants to. The military numbers starting to dwindle for Corvinus, down to 24. GOA with a couple of trebuchets, going to be looking to take out the town centre and the outpost and the production. I love this additional of the production on the front lines. It really adds to that fight. Makes sure that he can keep getting reinforcements incredibly quickly, and he's got some time on his hands because the emergency repairs, well, they'll repair with an emergency situations, as the name suggests. Only 16 traders going up to the northern trade, and while GUA spots it, he's probably thinking, hey, that's my trade post. He does snipe them in the end. So GUA does make gold a problem for Corvinus once again. That's a lot of traders to go down. I mean, the thing is that if that actually unlocks population space for Corvinus to keep producing on the front, he might start to overwhelm. Oh, a couple of horsemen did actually go around the back and looking to raid well, and yikes. It does feel like this game might actually start to lean towards who can actually establish a trade route properly. I mean, GUA is holding on, that is for sure, but he does, I mean, it's really coming down to this trade route, right? He needs to keep it safe and secure and established. I'm not sure if he even has that many traders anymore. Only 8. But the great thing for the Abbasid dynasty, by the way, I've got to say, is the veteran, well, you know, obviously we want them to be elite, but the camel archers. They'll actually dish out a lot of damage. They've got the camel Arnese bonus on the horsemen, and they'll do well against the spearmen. Hand cannoneers pose a unique problem. The archers might be able to deal with them, especially with the boot camp and also the composite bows. A couple more rams coming in the north for Corvinus. Not sure they're going to get all that much value, but they are distracting a lot of the camel archers. The camel archers should be fighting on the front, but he wants to keep the outpost up and running. GUA should be able to hold. He's obviously got massive defender's advantage, but as I said, there are a lot of production in the front line for Corvinus. Should be working their way, adding into some value into this fight. But the culverin might go down next. Needs to bring that guy back home. And 2 trebuchets starting to edge forward here for GUA. Traders trying to get through another trip. They will be walled out. Corvinus, he's struggling to hold his position, you feel. The trebuchets, if they start breaking down those production buildings, this could be a position where Corvinus is overrun. Oh, that horseman, I don't think GUA can fight this. This is a mistake. This horseman has 250 HP. That's going to be a lot of dead villagers, guys. I mean, he might get it in the end, but to be fair, if he walked away, he probably would have lost a similar sort of numbers on the retreat. Now, the horsemen come in too late. Well, better late than never. Oh, you guys took care of it, huh? Okay. They're right back out. Better late than ever, I guess. Well, on the front lines, well, it's the same sort of story. A massive battle, massive mosh pit. He did break through a lot of the stone walls with those rams at the end. And he's still getting traders through. So is GUA. Speaking of trade, I'm surprised not to see Corvinus go for this one in the south. There are a couple of villages there for GUA. He can actually afford another keep, by the way. He's saving that stone for a rainy day. Again, horsemen going down the north. The villagers coming out to Stonewall again, but they might just be cut off by the elite gilded horsemen. They don't actually cut them off. They weren't attack moved, of course. Now they're going to go for the traders. We'll get the stone walls up once again. It's really teched into the elite archers. This is actually a really strong unit for the Abbasid dynasty, especially when you factor in composite bows. But it's tricky because if the Order of the Dragon do mass up horsemen, if they can get close enough, it will be a problem for these archers. Even a mass like this can be taken apart. But slowly but surely, the productions, they are starting to dwindle in number. He might need to send... Yeah, he's sending some more. He's building some more behind it. But he's starting to lose ground slowly. I do wonder whether GUA decides to plonk a keep here, just to solidify this position a bit more. Trebuchets still working, pretty well protected by the stone walls. The horsemen were taken care of in the end by the elite camel archers. Looks like the Abbasid dynasty, the archer mass, is starting to threaten a little bit. There's a lot of villagers here that are very exposed for Corvinus. He needs to back them up. Only has 99 so far. At the moment, he's really dwindling the population. I've got to say, the hold by GUA was strong and he might be pushing back even more. There's not enough military here for Corvinus. He's struggling on wood. A lot of the wood has been taken out. We did say that wood could become an issue, and it all of a sudden has. This mass of archers is very difficult for Corvinus to deal with, especially with the camels now. The camel unease will be in effect. Still, though, the horsemen are trading well. A couple of gilded archers behind them. I mean, I think this is a fight that Corvinus might possibly win if reinforcements don't come in. For GUA and the... Yeah, there we are. A couple more gilded horsemen pop out, and here we're pushing that back quite nicely. Does have wood taken in the south. This is slowly going to be coming into a wood game, I think, and because they're both struggling on gold, you can't just spam out units that cost food and gold anymore. Well, having said that, on the gold side of things, GUA is trading once again. With a decent number, I gotta say. The same cannot be said for Corvinus. He's really struggled to establish that trading route. And that might just be what hurts him in this game. Oh, he's starting to mass up a large army. I mean, this doesn't look large, but these units are premium units, and he might be able to take a favourable engagement. The trouble is, for Corvinus, he doesn't have a sustainable eco. The wood bank and economy is struggling. I feel like GUA actually has an advantage at this stage. Going to be getting a bit of a raiding here in the south, but it probably doesn't matter at this point. GUA, he's at full population capacity, and if anything, this might be doing him a favour, freeing up population to pump out more military that will be sent into this location here in the north, which is primarily the wood income for Corvinus. Does have some wood here that it could potentially take, but that's a lot of walking time for these villagers, and it feels like Corvinus maybe doesn't have that time. Because those archers for the Abbasid dynasty are going to be whittling down those numbers. The trouble is, for Corvinus, he's getting his production camped on, right? So even if he does get reinforcements, as soon as they pop out, if the numbers aren't large enough, they will be taken out. But take a look at this, the Gilded Man-at-Arms. They'll be doing great work against those archers for the Abbasid dynasty. They do have to retreat, they do have to back off. It is too painful to go up against those Gilded Man-at-Arms. Does have a couple of lancers though, so they will add into the fight and maybe push those Gilded Man-at-Arms away a little bit. We'll have to see. Defender's advantage for GUA is certainly helping. A couple more horsemen riding in. I feel like GUA might win this fight though. The numbers looking good for him. It's a bit overwhelming. The Man-at-Arms, the meat shield does go down, and that leaves a little bit of a soft, squishy horseman army and just behind them. Trebuchets still taking down the production buildings in the north. Villagers coming out to get a keep. Oh, the classic play. I take your keep down and I build one right on top of it. That's exactly what GUA does. Looking to secure that 6 site in the north. That's actually going to be a bit of gold denied there. Again, horsemen still trying to survive for the Order of the Dragon. They do back off for now. He calls it quits in that fight. And he regroups once again. A couple more horsemen do pop out. He might have to cancel production here on these buildings because it's kind of wasted resources if they get sniped straight away. And all of a sudden, Corvinus' population, 142, has found it really difficult to maintain the population 200 with the military count. Like, the wood has been an issue for sure. Wood in the north has been taken, and there's no real positioning here for Corvinus. He has to head down south. We talked about this could be an issue. That's exactly where he's going. Yeah, if GUA recognizes this, by the way, if GUA gets a keep here, it could be curtains. He's now trading to this more natural trade post for his trade. And GUA setting the villagers forward. Where are these guys off to? He's going to get a keep on the farms. Making sure that he can't venture out here again here, Corvinus. This is where the heart of the economy for the Order of the Dragon now lie and rest. Getting a keep in this position, that's really strong. Going to be protecting the trade and the wood. This game is far from over, ladies and gents. If he can keep this position alive, the Order of the Dragon, he has an opportunity, he has a chance to get back in the game. But that chance is on a timer, because take a look at this. The army for the Abbasid dynasty trying to break their way through. There is, there's no real way. Oh wait, is there an overchop? If there's an overchop, that's going to hurt. Ooh, the trebuchets do take the production buildings now. Down the south. Yeah, he gets the army here. He recognizes GUA. These guys aren't at the top of the ladder for no reason. He recognizes that wood and trade is a real threat to his win efforts. And he heads right there. He's going to look to try and snipe out as many of the traders possibly. But it might not be a great idea to engage with a horseman, especially fighting underneath a keep and an outpost with the cannon in placement. He's going to take the engagement anyway. Might be trapped a little bit. Might lose units on the retreat. But GUA, he spotted the threat. He spotted the danger. Now he needs to address it. And he needs to do it fast. He's taking a bit of wood off the top of the map. And GUA might be... I mean, the thing is, GUA is not running into sort of problems on wood. He's got plenty of wood here to take in the south-west. Established by that map controlled by the greedy walls. Greedy walls certainly helping him at this stage. It's quite a large pressure point here for Corvinus. All of a sudden, Corvinus went from attacking the pressure point on the trade for GUA now to sort of defending his pressure point, which is the wood and the trade in the south. And the army slowly heading that way for GUA. He was under pressure for so long in this match, but it does feel like the Abbasid Dynasty late game is one of the best out there, especially with the trade wing upgrades you can get. And in fact, I think behind this, by the way, GOA is looking to get the... Wait. He's getting the eco wing? Okay, he's going to go up to the post-imperial age for the Abbasid Dynasty. If you guys aren't aware, by the way, whilst other civilizations can tech up and age up 3 times in a game, well, technically the Abbasid Dynasty can do it 4. And that's going to be great for the economy, for sure. Especially with the food, not that he necessarily needs it. But it might as well get it at this point. He's waiting for his opportune moment, getting some rams in the south. GUA, though, with that keep in the north, going to be protecting that sacred site. And I love this play, right? Because this is actually posing a really big threat, a really big problem for Corvinus. Because it forces him to try and challenge the mid-map objective, which is that sacred site timer. The trouble is, if he moves this army out, he leaves himself exposed. And this is an economy that he can't leave exposed. And GUA is going to start poking his finger into this pressure point. Camel archers, a couple of archers in behind, and 3 trebuchets. Takes out the fight, but the thing for Corvinus is that, okay, he might win the meat shield fight, but the trebuchets behind are taking down the production buildings. And we said that wood is an issue. He's got plenty of wood in the bank, but, I mean, that's not going to last all that long, considering the units he's producing. Mostly horsemen. Does have a couple of gilded man-at-arms. Spearmen coming into the mix. The archers need to back away for the Abbasids. Needs to be careful not to lose a trebuchet though, GUA, because they're pretty expensive in gold and he doesn't have all that much in the bank. Although he does have a good trade set up. Going to block with a couple of lancers, going to be detracting away, and the trebuchets might just escape. The archers trying to get out of there. Hand cannoneers being added in, riding past the threat. Well, it is what it is. The question for Corvinus is, how does he address this sacred site timer? I mean, I guess at this point it's probably better to go for this one in the south, but yeah, certainly going to be the better option. Sending an army in the north though. Maybe again, look to try and poke holes in the defense, but it's all fully walled up for GUA. He is safe and secure. And this army is just wasting... Yeah, it's going to try and break through the rams. Okay, well, it's giving the Abbasid Dynasty a problem to deal with. And certainly not a bad play, right? If he wants to keep his army together, he wants to force the Abbasids to make some decisions and split off army as well. But we see the ride out for GUA. He recognizes that the big fight, the main fight, is going to be in the south. A couple of landscapes. Can I just say the landscapes, their weapons are absolutely bonkers. Look how big it is. The sword is as big as him. Or the blade is, rather. Jeez. And the rams aren't going to break through, and it's going to be difficult for GUA to deal with this. He's going to have to redirect some troops. It might be a bit of a bait, actually. This is kind of smart for Corvinus. It might be a bait. He might be thinking, well, okay, look, I'm going to force the Abbasid Dynasty to send a few units. I'm going to send most of my units back. He's going to raid a lot of villages on wood. GUA, he might not even mind that. It opens population space for him. He breaks through, and he's going to wait for the overcommittal, right? This is smart. He's trying to make the Abbasid Dynasty overcommit to the north. This is going to be a throwaway army for the Order of the Dragon, but what it does, it means that he can push down in the south, and that might be his opportunity to take that sacred site. He doesn't have much in the way of siege, though. He needs to take the static defenses. He needs to take the keep down and the outpost, too. He has 1 ram. There is boiling oil, but he might look to torch this down anyway. GUA, he needs to recognize that his army doesn't need to be there in the north anymore. He needs to go south and make sure he survives this push coming on that sacred site. Corvinus looking to decap that sacred site. He might just get it. The army there for GUA have to be backing off, have to sacrifice themselves. Takes out the trebuchet. Oh, this is looking rough. Make sure you keep one. No! No! Keep a unit there. Corvinus, go back. Oh. I mean, hopefully it doesn't come down to that. But if the sacred site doesn't get decapped for a couple of seconds, well, you guys know who to blame. It's this guy. This guy on the right. It's his fault. Hand cannoneers looking to push that back, and he's off the sacred site. Oh no, he's on. He's on. He's tasked with that responsibility. Does get sniped by the hand cannoneers. He's just standing there. Felt it as a little tickle through the armor. And then he died. GUA, gonna try and camp on that sacred site. Keep it alive if you can. Does have a couple... Wait. GUA, you need to get on top of it. He does now. I think Corvinus might be down and out, because that was a strong push. It felt like it was last, though. He's really struggling on wood. Large, massive army for GUA. He got back in the south in time. Just when he needed to. The Rams did take out the keep and the outpost. But slowly but surely, it feels like that sacred site timer is ticking. And, well, Corvinus needs to find a solution, and he needs to find it fast. The 3 trebuchets on the backline will be starting to work on the production buildings. The production will be halted a little bit because of that. Horsemen dive in with a couple of the Landsconnect. The Landsconnect could get some good work against the Camel Archers. If they can get close enough, that is a big if. Hand Cannoneers for the Order of the Dragon on the backline. Does have a couple of these Predators boosting up in this fight, and that's might be the key to this fight. GUA, he's going to be pushed heavily. The Rams might try and body block. That's what they're there for. He just needs to keep a unit or two on that sacred site GUA to keep the sacred site timer alive. But he's off it. Oh, this is a strong push by Corvinus. GUA, he is running a risk here of losing that sacred site timer. This might go down, especially with the prelates healing. This is such a clutch play by Corvinus. I've got to say, because this healing means that these units, they are going to be fresh for the fight once again. And he breaks through the stone walls. He's going to break through and push through. And he does keep a prelate on the sacred site. It has been decapped, and unfortunately for GOA, the sacred site victory option is no longer on the table. Corvinus, he's pushing back with a vengeance, keeping that eco running in the south. We need to take a look at how many traders he has, because that's probably the key. He's got 1,400 gold coming in now. Definitely going to be sustaining that income and production of military units. Rams coming in as well and spreading out the military. The concern for GUA is that if these military units, they just spread out, get kills every left, right and center, everywhere, it will be difficult for GUA to stop the bleeding. And that's exactly what the halberd for these Lance Connector will be looking to do. They'll be looking to make these villagers bleed. Camel Archers are riding through to try and pick them off if they can. But suddenly this is looking strong for the Order of the Dragon. They look down and out for many a minute. But take a look at the traders. The trade is now up and running in a big way for Corvinus. 35 traders. You feel that should be good enough. And GUA now, he is struggling. Got hand cannoneers, a premium unit that might hold on for now. Does have a bit of gold in the bank, but the trouble is that the momentum is definitely in favor of the Order of the Dragon. Farming transition coming up again. He's struggling on food. Food is an issue for GUA. Obviously, a lot of his army very dependent on that food. Hand cannoneers, the dragon hand cannoneers, holding the line with the meat shield. A relatively limited number of meat shield, but they're holding the force. Those man-at-arms are tanking a lot from the camel archers. Hand cannoneers doing the rest of the back. Even has a mangonel. Villagers coming out for GUA to burn down those rams as much as they can. But this is looking rough for GUA. Certainly the momentum is in favour of Corvinus. Takes the sacred site in the south as well, so that's another extra bit of gold income. Villagers do get a couple of rocks in the face, but they do get out there in the time. They need to survive. The farming transition, though, is not in a good spot there. Very close to the fight. Corvinus pushing in. And the production is looking good. Take a look at it. There's decent numbers of buildings. Does lose trebuchet. That's a lot of trebuchets that just went down in the blink of an eye. GUA had a lot of gold invested in that, and it goes down so quickly. And all of a sudden, Corvinus, he might be feeling optimistic about his chances. It's certainly looking good, and he's actually going to go down the south entrance to that base, and this is a problem for GUA because a lot of villagers here will be sniped by the hand cannoneers. GUA, his economy is under threat. Only 100 food in the bank. He cannot keep up with the economy. And he's just taking some really bad trades military-wise. And it isn't able to sustain the military production. Hand cannoneers in good numbers here for Corvinus. The villager count is still pretty decent for GUA, but food is such a problem. He's got such a heavy focus on wood and gold at the moment. Maybe he doesn't have enough villagers on. Yeah, he's got 55. I mean, he's just really struggling to keep up. Oh, I love this addition of more production buildings on the front lines by Corvinus. Going to get reinforcements even quicker. GUA, he is really struggling. And could this be the final blow that Corvinus needs? Doesn't have that much in the way of siege, but it's almost like he doesn't need it at this point. The premium units for the Order of the Dragon, could they be slaying the Abbasid dynasty? An incredibly strong late game civilization. Corvinus, is he going to pull it off? He continues to ride in. It does feel like it's difficult here. I'm not sure if GUA can find a way. Hand cannon is going to focus on the trade. He's got units to the north. Oh, this is clutch. These horsemen going to take down all those traders. This could be the killer death blow that the Order of the Dragon needed in this 1 hour game on Himeyama. And GUA, he's struggling to hold on even on the front lines. And he's got nothing left in the tank, I don't think. 35 military units, but they need to be everywhere at this point. Horsemen in the north. The traders go down. GUA, he's finding it difficult to hold on the south. Rams coming in just to take out infrastructure, and well, this is looking dicey. He's down to 104 villagers, and that might continue to bleed. He does send some army there now, but it's a little bit too late. It's the archers. I mean, these archers can't do this. That is a mountain to climb. Those horsemen will sweep them up, and this game looks down and out. GUA down to 104 villagers, but more importantly, he's down to 400 food in the bank and only 35 military. The military continues to have Corvinus adding in Gilded Knights, and the Gilded Knights, we haven't seen them at all game, but they're making an appearance now. With the trade gone for GUA, the Knights might clean up everything else. These Knights will absolutely rip through everything. The villagers here on the farms. Food was always a problem already. At the moment, it's just about to get worse. The Knights getting critical damage, and they're heading into the front as well, and those Lancers for the Abbasid dynasty, they will not match up, and all that remains in the way of the Order of the Dragon and a victory is burning down the House of Wisdom and that landmark, the town centre, and that could be coming in next. And he's actually camping out near enough on the production buildings, and he's trickling in units here, GUA, but he's struggling to get rid of this army. 74 military population for Corvinus versus 19, and he's looking strong. He's got resources in the bank. That's the key bit of detail. Traders all but gone for GUA. Actually, he's got a lot more left, to be fair. He managed to produce them, but the trouble for him is he's not able to produce army. The torch damage coming out, and the mass of melee for the Order of the Dragon. They're going to head in and maybe focus on the mosque. I think it's got to be the target, right? Bit of gold income from that, and the traders, if they don't get across the map and trading that gold quick enough, the income won't be able to sustain the production of units. Once he does take out that mosque, what is left here for GUA? This is a mass of units that would be so difficult to deal with. You've got to feel like the prelate made a big difference here. And there it is, ladies and gentlemen. GUA taps out. The Order of the Dragon. They have triumphed over the Abbasid dynasty on Himeyama. The late game Order of the Dragon proving to be a little bit too strong for GUA today. Hope you guys enjoyed the casted game. And if you did, do give the video a thumbs up. Take care and see you next time.